Okay, so welcome back to another episode at the Uncommons channel. My name is Blandine, this is Josh, and we have Kyky back for another episode. Yes. And don't mind our outfit because we literally recorded 2 episodes in one day, so that's why we're wearing the same clothes. Anyways, we're just gonna go ahead and jump into today's episode.
Real quick, can I shout out my t-shirt real quick?
Yes.
Okay, so I just want to give a shout out to Youth Believe for this amazing t-shirt and definitely support their ministry. They are youth that are really on fire for God, that are really seeking Him. So definitely follow them on Instagram, youth.believe, and support them.
Oh, and also I wanted to shout. I don't know why I keep messing up that word. I'm Haitian. I wanted to
shout.
I want to shout out this YouTube channel. We've been listening to their music all morning, all afternoon, and their music is, they make beats for Christian music, but it's like amazing. So we've just been vibing. So that's the music you've been hearing is from their channel. What's their channel called?
Holy Drill.
Holy Drill. So definitely check them out, subscribe, like, comment, etc., etc.
Yep.
So today's episode is about youth leaders. This whole month is appreciating leaders in your church and all that stuff. So we decided to bring a youth leader of our own. And before I jump into my question, in the Bible, Paul told us that, we have to show appreciation for the leaders that are in our church. It's not that they want us to tell them that, what you're doing, we appreciate it. But, because they're doing it from their heart, they're doing it because that's what they're called to do. Right. But Paul wants us, the congregation, to go and tell them, hey, I appreciate the good work that you're doing for God. It's not easy. Right. It's not easy to do this type of job. Any job for God is not easy, but being a leader is especially not easy. So, just wanted to say that. And to start with today's episode, my first question is, I went blank, so I have to look it up. What does it mean for you, Kyky, to be a leader?
I would say to be a leader is simply just to really know who you are, being transparent with who you are, and being the person that can help the next person based on what you kind of went through. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of times as leaders, we think it's all about, we want them to follow us, but it's like, I'd rather the mistakes I made, so that you can learn from them and, make better ones. Don't be like me.
And I feel like when leaders, or just in general, people, when you're transparent about your flaws and mistakes in your past, mm-hmm. It definitely makes it easier for people to want to listen to what it is you have to say about the gospel.
Right.
Because, when Jesus came to the earth, he didn't go out and seek the perfect people. He seeked, all his disciples who he sat with. Yeah. What are they called? The taxpayers. There we go.
Mm-hmm. Tax collectors.
Tax collectors.
You're right. The tax collectors. Yeah.
The tax collectors, and he came for those type of people. Right. So we're not perfect. So we definitely should be transparent to the people that we're leading.
Absolutely.
So before you get too deep into all the questions, mm-hmm. What are you a leader for? Who are you leading?
Oh yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Shout out to my babies. Shout out to GCCY, Grace Community Christian Youth. I'm not gonna name all of them because it's like around 20 of them, but those are my babies. I love them with everything in me, and they are the reason why I am a mom in spirit. So yeah.
You're a mother?
I am a mother to all of my little babies who are not babies anymore. So they give me purpose. They give me joy. I honestly don't know what I would do without every single one of them. So yeah.
How did you get into it?
Um, with them specifically, or like leadership
Well,
as a whole?
leadership in general, and then I guess to go into them.
I would say so. Growing up, I grew up in a very strict Haitian Christian household,
Like all of
and
us.
so yeah, so I was kind of like born into ministry. I remember when I was 12 years old, like how we used to always go to Jeûne on Saturdays and do six pousis, where we fast 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And there was a service where one of the leaders, I think it was either Fue Event or Fue Kensi, and one of them prophesied over me that I would be a youth leader, and leading the generation back to Christ. And I was 12. I didn't even know what that would even look like. I'm like, me? I'm so quiet. I'm so awkward. I don't like to be in the spotlight. And then as I got closer to God, and I got baptized at 16, and that's when things started to really make sense. And then I just kind of got into youth ministry. First, I started off doing kids church at my home church, which is Agape Worship Center. Loved doing that. And then once my mom married a pastor, we started to go to his church, and then that's when I became the youth leader of that youth. I didn't know I was going to be the leader until the first day I got there. We were on stage, they were welcoming us, and they said, "This is Kyky, the new youth leader." I was like,
Whoa.
first off,
Wow.
I've never been
Wow.
a youth leader. Kids is different. Like kids, you're just reading the little Bible stories, you're praying with them, telling them what's right, what's wrong. But teenagers and also young adults who are around my age, to lead them, I didn't even know where to begin or what that would even look like. But then eventually God started to make a win. I definitely want to talk about that later on, about how that came to play.
Sorry. How did you navigate when they prophesize? How did you navigate you when they said that you might end up being some type of leader? Because I remember for me, I remember people used to tell me like they would have dreams and prophesize that, oh, I'm gonna be somebody big one day.
Yeah.
And it kind of messed me up in the long run, because I ended up just not really doing the work that I should have been doing, because I just believed that I was gonna end up being something good.
Right.
If as long as God takes care of me, I'm gonna end up doing what's supposed to happen in my life.
Right.
So how did you end up coming to the realization that you're gonna be a leader?
I would say, because when I was prophesied, I was scared because I did not know what was going to happen. I was very terrified. And honestly, I ran from the calling for a very long time. And it wasn't until I had started at Palm Beach State when I was, I think, 17. And I joined a faith club there, Faith Walkers, which I'm still a part of. Shout out to them. That's another group I'm part of. So I thank God for that. But joining them, that's when the people that I was involved with, helping them run the club and whatnot, like they started to prophesize me over as well. And they were telling me how God is going to use me to bring about revival on the college campus. And so that's when I really surrendered to God, because I'm like, wow, this all makes sense. Because what a coincidence that I graduated from high school. In high school, I was a leader for different clubs there as well, but not a Christian club. So God already put those leadership skills inside of me. And then when I graduated and got to Palm Beach State, I saw a faith club. I just started going there, and then eventually they wanted me to be a leader there. And then I kind of just accepted the calling because it made sense. Before, when I was 12, I didn't know what it looked like to be a leader. But then as I got older, I'm like, okay, God, like this is why this happened, that happened. That's why that didn't happen. So because it started to make sense, I'm like, okay, I'll just go ahead and just take that leap of faith and take the call.
Okay. Now, I know that, I guess my next question would be, how is it, like, since you're so young, having all that pressure being put on you, that, all those young kids at your church, they look up to you, that any little mistake you make, their eyes are on you. Like, that's a lot of pressure. Even though it's a small group, but, you have all those eyes looking up to you. Like, do you feel like you have to be perfect 24/7?
No, not at all, to be honest with you. I just learned to just be myself, because when I first got there, they all thought that I was the pastor's daughter that's so holy and stuck up, and I'll like, to me, I'll be looking at them as if they're beneath me. But then when they actually got to know who I was, they were like, oh, okay, like Kiki's very sweet. She's very humble. She doesn't care to be in the spotlight, this and that. And when I really started to open up to them was when we had our first youth service, and I shared my testimony with them. And that's what made them realize, like, wow, like she went through a lot of the stuff that I'm going through, you know. And because of that, they're like, oh wow, she doesn't pretend like she's perfect, she doesn't pretend like she's holier than thou, like she's a regular person. And so because of that, they were able to open up to me. And it is a lot of pressure sometimes, because I remember when I got my first tattoo as a Petit Cedodo, and also as a Christian, they were like, oh, Kyky got her tattoo, so we could get tattoos. I was like, whoa, like, whoa. I didn't even like think. And then after that, I had to sit down with them. I had to be real with them and just be like, you know, this was my decision. I know that it's a very controversial topic. You know, I know what the Bible says, and I know I have free will. This is just something that I did, but don't think just because I get them, that means you need to get them. So whenever they ask me like, oh, Kyky, can I do this? Can I do that? I always tell them, pray about it. I say, pray about it, ask God, because I'm very big on have your own personal relationship with God. Don't try to allow what I do to determine what you want to do. Just talk to God about it. And from then, at the end of the day, you have free will and you got to deal with the consequences. But it's hard, very, very hard, because it's like, I don't want to steer them in the wrong direction. I don't want God to be mad at me in the end to say that I didn't give them the truth. But they know I'm always going to give them the truth and love. I'm going to always keep it real with them. And they just have to take it like how it is.
Well, what was that conversation like when you, because to me, I probably would have, if I was the leader of them kids, I probably would have said, y'all is dumb. Y'all copy me because I'm your leader.
Right.
That is literally the dumbest thing ever.
And the thing is, I can't blame them for thinking like that.
Right.
Because it's like they look up to me, and it was tough, because not even a week later, one of them got a sleeve, and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, Jesus Christ.
Are you saying?
Yeah, it's a lot to deal with. Even my girls, some of them are trying to get into that as well. I'm just like, Lord have mercy. Like, I'm like, what have I started? But one of our other leaders, James, he's amazing. He really talked to me, and he really everything he said convicted my heart. And he told me, like, you got to be careful about how you live your life, how you go about doing things, because whether you like it or not, they're looking at you and they're going to follow you. And so that really humbled me to just like make better decisions. And I let them know, like, I make mistakes too. I'm not always going to be the perfect leader that you may or may not be looking for.
At the same time, you're their age.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So like, you're going through your own thing.
Yeah.
And you have to go to your own like leader, but also be yourself.
Right.
So I don't want to be a leader. Because I don't want nobody looking up to me like that.
Yeah.
I already have enough people doing that to my dad.
Right.
To the point where like they're calling him at 3-4 a.m. in the morning.
Right. It's a lot.
And I feel like being a pastor's kids, I just realized all three of us are pastor's kids. I just realized that.
Crazy.
Pastors? Your mom's a pastor?
She's she calls herself an evangelist, is what she calls herself.
That's even worse.
Yes,
Sorry.
it is worse.
Evangelist daughter.
Yeah.
And a step daughter to a pastor.
Correct.
I'm sorry for you.
That's like
ministry my whole life.
Yeah. At least like for me, my dad was just a preacher, and then, you know, the church that I'm at now, they're the one who chose my dad as a pastor, because he never wanted to be a pastor. His thing is, I'm just preaching, I'm not a pastor. So I feel like since all three of us were pastors' kids, I feel like we kind of understand what it means to be in the spotlight. Without even having the role of being a leader, you know, people are automatically looking at you like, and especially Haitian parents, you know, in the church, they're always looking at you. And then, you know, if you're, to them, you're automatically perfect because your parents, your dad or your mom is a pastor. So it's like, they're always going to be comparing you to the other kids in the church, and they're like, oh, why are you not like them? Do you not see that, you know, that they're succeeding? And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, my parents used to do that, especially with Kyky. And, you know, I've had that conversation with my parents where I've told them, I was like, it really it really pushed me back from, furthering my skills and even telling them what I wanted to do in life.
Right.
Because I was like, they were always comparing me to Kyky. They're like, oh, let's just see that, you know, she's graduating from school, and she's a youth leader, and all that stuff. And I was just like, yeah, let's I like we need to do better, like
Yeah.
to stop comparing leadership roles in
Yeah.
general.
I totally agree with you. And I went through that as well. I was always compared to other leaders in my church, at our home church, and it was very stressful. And it's like, if only you knew like what really comes with it, for people to just feel like, oh, it's okay to compare and whatnot. And I think also, like, when it comes to leadership, we have to have so much humility, because a lot of people will let that praise get to their heads, and then they'll start to think that, oh, I am better than this person, oh, look at me doing all these good things. But God will humble you so quickly. And I'm thankful that, like, I know that the three of us were really, really humble about what we do. And so if we don't have humility, like, God will definitely dethrone you if he needs
Yep.
to, for real, for real. So
That's true.
yeah.
And then I guess my next question to go into that is, did you even want to do it? Did you even want to be a leader? Because I know you were kind of like thrown into it since they prophesied since you were a kid, and then
Yeah.
you were a leader in school and all stuff. But did you ever feel like at a point you had a choice to say, no, I don't want to be a leader?
I did have a choice. At first, I really didn't want to, because, like I said, I don't like being in the spotlight. Even doing this podcast, that I never thought I'd be doing something like this and being on social media and whatnot. But then there was a point where I looked back at my life, and I'm so thankful for my leaders at the time, like Calvin especially. Like,
Oh my.
Calvin was me and Blunny's leader, and he really helped bring us closer to Christ, and he was always so transparent. Also for me, Brianna, Adine, Cassie and Samantha, like, they're great leaders in our community. And so because of that, I wanted to reflect those amazing qualities, those leadership qualities and spiritual qualities that they have, for the youth that would eventually look up to me. And so I wanted to be that person. So there's this quote that I love. It says, be who you needed when you were younger. And that's kind of what I live by.
I like that.
So yeah,
I like that.
That's what you need to put on a shirt.
Yeah.
we'll do.
So that's
Real.
that's actually nice.
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh, I didn't know it was gonna die out eventually. Sorry. I feel like all of us, in our own ways, we are leaders.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need a title to be a leader in your life. Like, you can be a leader at work, at school, at church, in your friend circle, with whatever platform. Even if your platform is not that big,
Right.
you're a leader in your own way. You're a leader in your own life, because you're always making decisions. And you may not think that people are not looking at you, but there's always that one eye who's
Always.
looking at you. Especially as Christians, we definitely always have someone who's looking up to us to see, like, oh, let me see if they're gonna mess up. They're Christians, and if they do mess up,
Right.
are they going to like own up to it, or are they gonna be like prideful and be like, no, I'm okay, and all that
Right.
stuff. So we, all of us in our own ways, I'm gonna repeat that again, all of us in our own ways, we are a leader.
Facts. And definitely to piggyback off of that, I always tell people, like, if you have a platform, you're a leader, and you are also an influencer, because if you have followers, whatever you post, they can hit like, they can comment, they can share with other people. And so you have to use that to your advantage, not just for you, but also for God, because a lot of times we get into the hype of Instagram and, the engagement and whatnot, that we don't really look at it as an opportunity to share our story, to tell people about God, to share the love of Christ. And I know sometimes we're so caught up in, like, the aesthetic,
Yeah.
and there are times we have to kind of let that go, because I know Jesus is not an aesthetic. Like, I be seeing those cute little Jesus posts and, the videos and whatnot, but that's not God. God is all over the place. He's consistent, but there are times once he comes into your life, it's definitely like a journey, and it's not always going to look so clean, so nice, so fitting to everybody else. But definitely take advantage of that, because you never know who needs to hear your story.
Yeah.
Do you think there is a difference between influence and leadership? Because I say that because I asked my dad this question Sunday,
Yeah.
and he was saying, as a leader, you are an influencer,
Right.
and in your case,
Mm-hmm.
technically, you're an influencer
Yeah.
if a whole kid got a whole sleeve.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
is there? I feel like there might be a difference, but then it's kind of hard to say because then you explain your story and then it's
Right. I think it definitely goes hand in hand. I think if you're a leader, you're automatically going to influence people. But I think it depends on the type of leader that you are. Because I feel like if you're a bad leader, you can influence people to do bad things. But if you're a good leader, you can influence people to do good things. So I think it goes hand in hand.
okay.
Yeah, I think it goes hand in hand.
So they're one and the same.
Yeah. Because I don't think you could have one without the other.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think it depends on the leader themselves.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a sense. Make a sense.
Is there any like advice you would give to like any upcoming leaders?
Be real about who you are, because as much as I feel like people try to put on this persona of being a youth leader and trying to be like the holy one, just be real. Like my youth, they know everything about me. When I tell y'all everything, we have these conversations that if we were to have them in church in front of other adults, they would think that we're crazy and they would probably kick us out of the church. That's how real we get, like, about our personal lives. And I think that's so important, because if they don't know who you are, then how can they trust you to lead them? So I would definitely say be real and don't be afraid to share your story. I don't care how ugly it is. I don't care how bad it is. Just tell them who you are. And as well, like, don't be so caught up in trying to keep them in a building that they can't go out and have fun. I think a lot of times we're so focused on service, but what about going out to the movies, go skating, have a cookout, go to each other's houses and have a movie night? We don't have to stay in a building to have fun and play these lame games.
It's the
I'm
sigh.
sorry. I'm
It's
sorry.
The sigh.
I'm sorry, but it's true. Like, I feel like the youth really think that church is lame, and church is not lame. Like,
And
we are the church. It's not the building, but they make it lame.
It's the people that are making it.
Yeah, like they make church seem so boring. Like, me and my youth, like, I love that we're so spontaneous. One day we can wake up and just be like, hey, let's go do this. We'll do that. We have a group chat. We're on FaceTime almost every other night. The group chat be blowing up, and it's always fun with them. It's never like, oh, we're just gonna sit in a service and just prepare for Youth Sunday every single Sunday, do youth conference, and that's it. But we actually do stuff, and not only over the summer, but all year round. I think a lot of times we wait till summertime to have fun. Why?
Yeah.
Why are we waiting till summer to have fun? Like, we can literally start right now.
In the Goemun's defense, that's the only time they have.
And also, I have to add this, because a lot of times I understand the pastors are above us, but I always stick up for my youth.
Right.
If I say that we are going to do this, that is what we are going to do, because you are not the leader of my children. I am the leader of my children. So if I say that we're going to have a movie night, if you don't like that, then you're not going to be there anyway. So why should you even care? That's just me. So it's like, whatever my kids want. No, for real. Whatever.
That's what they need at his church. This is what he needs
No.
at his church. I'm going to tell how it is.
It's like, whatever my kids want, that's what they're going to get. And you
Right.
have to be overprotective over them. And you can't make them think that you can't put your foot down when it's necessary. So I'm very big on that, and they know that. Anybody that comes for my kids, I don't care if you are a deacon, I don't care if you're the pastor's wife, I don't care if you are the person that does offering. I don't care who you are. Just don't come for my kids.
As it should be. As it
Yeah,
should
just
be.
don't come for my kids. Just be respectful.
So you did mention that you tell your youth everything.
Yeah.
How does that work? Because can't that backfire?
Yeah, but I know everything about them, so they know not to try me.
Ooh, Lord.
Not to try it.
And I'm just gonna say this real quick. I think it's having that open space with your youth group.
Yeah.
I feel like if you don't have that open space where you can be real with them, they're not gonna be real with you.
They're not. And that's the thing, even when I was exposing myself to them all, it took them a while to actually open up to me. I'm like, so I told y'all all this and y'all can't tell me one thing about yourself? Like, this is kind of risky. But then eventually they opened up. So I think it's more so of like just me having faith that God will use my story for the betterment of them, and for them to like just keep it real with me, because if they don't keep it real with anybody else, then might as well do it with somebody in the church that actually cares for them, because there's a lot of stuff that we do together that I'd rather them do with me than with other people, because I will actually care for them and I won't judge them, etc.
So what does that look like?
Uh,
So
just-
drinking.
Hold on.
Wow.
Hold on. Hold on. Just before we continue, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
So you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
that you do stuff with your youth, and you'd rather do it together. What does that mean?
Why are you so extra?
Wow.
So extra.
Okay, it's like whenever we have get-togethers, and I know like I just don't. It's hard to talk about it because I know I'm gonna be judged, not by you guys, but by the people that's watching. Like, oh, what type of youth leader are you? But
Right.
it's like the ones that are old enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they're
Okay.
the age limit, but they're old enough, where they've already been exposed to certain things as far as like having a drink. We have our moments where like the older guys, we chill, we vibing, kicking it. Make some dwinks. You know what I'm saying?
I don't see anything wrong with that.
If it's not mixed, we take some shots.
Wow.
There's nothing.
It's fun. It's like we know our limits, and I tell them like it's nothing wrong with drinking as long as you're not getting drunk. Now there have been moments where that happened, but we learned from it, and we told ourselves that it's better to just drink, just to socially drink, than to drink excessively, because too much of anything isn't good. So it's not a sin to drink, but the moment it becomes excessive and it becomes an addiction, that's when it becomes a problem. But we be chilling. So
What I want to say. Oh, go ahead. I know you tend to forget.
I mean, the reason I was my bad.
No, you're good.
I am gonna forget. The reason I was bringing that up is because it shows the type of leader that you are.
yeah,
Because not too many people that are leaders, especially like in the church area, they're not willing to show who they truly are,
yeah,
and they're not willing to mess up or damage the kid,
right,
because like you said, you'd rather, if they're gonna do something, you'd rather have them do it in front of you.
facts.
And then in that same sense, like if they do get drunk or whatever, at least it's in front of you.
Yeah.
And you know what to do.
And
if you
right.
have to, if for some reason you have to call their parents, you have all their information. You can do whatever you need to do. But before it even gets to there,
Yeah.
you can take care of them,
I can
because
take care
they're
of them.
your babies. like
Yeah,
you say.
facts. And it's like I never want people to feel like, okay, like I'm introducing them to alcohol and other things. Like no, like they were already
they're-
exposed to those
Yeah, they
things,
already
you
know it from school.
And it's like I
stuff.
tell them like just don't, like I'd rather them just do it within like our church youth that's like where we actually care, And like same thing goes for like even as a youth leader, I'm shocked that they even invite me to like their friends get-togethers, their friends parties. I'm like, oh, y'all think I'm cool? Like they're like, Kyky, like we're planning this and we all really want you to come. I'm like, wow, like I really feel cool, because I know for me, if I was doing something within my youth group when I was their age, I would not have invited some people, because I know that it just wouldn't fit them, or they'd feel uncomfortable, or they'd be really judgmental. But they actually like allow me to be that involved in their lives because of how comfortable I am with them. So it's like I'm never going to support underage drinking. I'm never going to support other things, but the ones that are old enough, like that have already been doing those things, I'd rather them do it with me in a more healthier way versus excessive.
Respect that.
Yeah, definitely. What I wanted to say to what Kyky was saying earlier is that I feel like it's better for your youth to do stuff with their youth leader.
Yeah.
So then that way, like how you were saying, if something bad was to happen, you have someone you trust,
Right.
that is going to look out for you.
Right.
Like it's better to get drunk with your youth leader. And I feel like if you trust them enough, not saying you should,
Right. We're
Don't
not
take
saying-
it that way.
Please don't take it
that's
that
not
way.
what we're
They
saying
is.
here.
Right.
They
This-
is gonna take it that way.
Well, that's not what we're saying here. What I'm saying is that it's better to do certain stuff with people that you trust, like in the church especially, because I feel like that's where you should have the best um community, like help, aid, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like I feel like if you can't trust your youth leader for you to go to your youth leader to tell them how you're feeling and all that stuff, then you're gonna end up going to the world,
Right.
and that's taking a step back
Right.
from God. I feel like,
Yeah.
so it's definitely, I feel like what she's doing is right, and we're not condoning.
We're not condoning
We're not
it. And
condoning
just to
drinking.
also add on, like, we're, as a group, we're really big on accountability. So yes, we do certain things, but at the end of the day, we always sit back together and we always talk about what just happened, and we talk about God, we talk about what does the Bible say, so that we hold each other accountable, so that we're like, okay, this night we got a little bit too lit, maybe this night let's just kind of chill for a little bit, let's just do something different. So it's not like we're just out here wilding out here, you know, acting like we're in the world. Like, no, because I think a lot of times, like, our youth don't even know how to be in the world because they're so sheltered,
Yes.
trying to be this person. But really, it's like we are the ones that are supposed to be the light. So one thing I love is that because they have these experiences with me, now when they're with their friends, they know what to do, what not to do. They know not to do this excessively because they don't know what could happen. Because I know for me, if they're out with their friends and they're getting too lit, I highly doubt that their friends would be that willing to help them. They might record them, embarrass them, make them do crazy things, and then it starts to become dangerous. But with us as a group, you know, we make sure that they're straight. So accountability is so important, and also, like I said from the beginning, just being real about it. So we're not going to fake like we're this perfect youth group, because we are not, but we are the most solid youth group that I personally know, and that's a fact.
I mean, the difference between a leader and a boss is just telling you what to do.
Right.
A leader is actually down there with you, trying to
Yep.
navigate
Facts.
with you.
Yeah.
So it's better to, I mean, like I said, I mean, y'all was saying don't drink or whatever. I guess I'm gonna say, for your instance, hypothetically, if that was the case, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that happened, but yeah, it's better that you're down there with them, figuring things out,
Definitely.
and also leading them towards.
Yeah, and to add on to that, like how you said the difference between being a boss and a leader. I remember when I first got there, my stepdad, like, he kind of just assumed that I was just gonna jump in and take over, because at the time Ralph was in charge of the youth, and so they thought that just because the announcement was made that I was gonna be the youth leader, that I would jump in and just take over. Like, no, I spent a couple Sundays, I would be in their Sunday school, just looking to see how everything is like, seeing how everybody's like before I introduce myself. And even then, after introducing myself, my focus was, hey, let's hang out, hey, let's find out more about each other, let's build a bond before I just become this leader of this group. And because of that, that's how we were able to have such a strong bond. And one thing that the adults didn't like was that when we started to do Youth Sunday, they didn't like that I would ask the youth, what do you want to do for Youth Sunday? They just expected me to have a program, this is what you're going to do, and then this is what you're going to do. But never giving them that their creativity,
Yeah.
you know, but they just assumed that I was just going to take over. I'm like, that's not who I am. Like, let's sit down together. What songs do you guys want to do? Who wants to do what?
As it should be.
Yeah.
I feel like in my church, it's been such a fight when it becomes like the youth trying to be creative and trying to do something.
Right.
There's the issue because, like, the older people are not involved, and I'm not saying that they can't be involved.
Yeah.
But it's better that they don't just sit there and let you guys do whatever.
Right.
It's better that they're actually working, doing something,
Together.
figuring out, okay, this person's gonna be working on the mics.
Yeah.
That way, like, they're engaged in, like, how church culture.
Right.
So, like, when we do need people to work the mics, or we do need people, we already have young people that are coming up. We can call on them, and it gives them something to do. It gives them a reason to come, to keep coming back to, like, the church.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I think that was the toughest thing for, like, especially in the Haitian community, for them to understand.
Yeah, because I'm not a dictator. I'm not going to just say, like, this is what's going to happen, this is how it's going to go down. Like, no, like, you tell me your ideas, because a lot of the stuff that I thought I wanted to do, they were all changed when they gave me their ideas. I'm like, wow, like, those are some really good ideas. The people that I would have chosen to just read scripture, when I heard them pray, I was like, I would never even think that you know, that they even knew how to pray, like, so deeply, you know. So, like, once they started to be open about what they like to do, what they can do, then that gave me the opportunity to allow them to, broaden their creativity. And I think adults too, sorry, Blunny, but they shouldn't be so scared to allow these kids to be on the stage. Like, what are you so scared of? Like, of allowing them to like rap about whatever, to do a spoken word, to do more different things. Like, they get so caught up in the whole church tradition. Yeah, and it's just like, we are in different times. We got to get out of that. Like, whenever we have our services, I wish an adult would come tell me, oh, I didn't like the service. Well, we're not doing it for you, sweetheart. We're doing it for God. And if it's not a problem for God, then if it's a problem for you, pull job. Because we're not changing anything. Like, as long as it's not disrespectful to the people and to God, it's not. It's just because it's different and they're not used to it, which I get.
I feel like they feel like they're gonna lose their position.
Right.
If they continue letting that happen, then the reason more people are coming, I mean, that shouldn't be the case. But
right.
That's how they feel because, Haitians are so filled with their pride.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but I mean, that's their culture. Like, that's how they are. So it's like they have to have something under their belt or under their name. That's just the way I've noticed and I've seen in my church. I don't know how it is in everybody else's church, but what are you gonna say?
I mean, what I was gonna say, I'll say two things. But what I was gonna say to what Kyky was saying earlier with the whole bond, the first thing she did was, have the bond with her youth, and I feel like, for me, it definitely helped me when I was younger at Agape, having that bond with Calvin, because it made me want to seek out God. Because I'm like, I feel like as a youth, the type of relationship that you have with your leaders is going to have like the biggest impact on your relationship with God. Fact. It's the same thing with your parents. If you don't have a good relationship with your parents, it's going to be hard to have that relationship with God, because you're going to be like, oh, the way they responded to me, that's how God is going to respond. Right. But, if I have that bond with my leader, then it's going to be easy for me to just seek out God, to be like, hey, let me just talk to you for a second, tell you what's on my mind, tell you what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? Right. Having that bond is very important.
Absolutely. And also shout out to Calvin's wife, Ruth, because she was also our praise dance leader, and she was amazing. Like, one thing about Ruth, she was not the one to play with, and she was always transparent about who she is and was never ashamed of her past. And so shout out to her as well. She's awesome.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
How does it look? How do you, as a leader, how do you handle I mean, you kind of already answered it, but how do you handle when they say, when you have to go to your higher ups and they can't really agree with you on certain things? How do you handle that? You kind of already answered.
Yeah, first, that's if I go to the higher ups.
Period.
It's a fact. I'm sorry. I'm really big on, like, this is my group, and it's not because it's my group because I'm a dictator, but like, I'm very overprotective. So it's like, I respect what the higher ups have to say. I take their suggestions, their and also their criticisms, and I ask God for humility every time, because we have an interesting relationship with the two pastors that we have, and it's different. But I ask God for humility because I never want to seem like I'm this cold-hearted person or very mean when I'm not. That's just the mom in me that wants to make sure that they're good. But I just ask for humility. That's all I could say, really. And I just try to ask God, like, for clarity on certain things. And I try to put myself in the pastor's shoes to see kind of where they're coming from. And then whatever they say, I bring it to my kids, and how they feel about it, they let me know. And then I tell the pastors, and we just do it like that.
Right. Because I know that Haitian pastors will definitely say that because of the way you handle it, that's wild.
Yeah, I know that.
But they'll definitely, that gives them more fuel to be like they're ignorant or what's the word he used? Ignorant? Yeah. Ignorance? Mm-hmm. Yeah, like they'll always say, like, especially young people, they're just ignorant.
Yeah. And I it's like I said, I try not to portray myself as that mean person that's just doing too much, but I just like the same way that they're very overprotective over the bodies of Christ, like the other church members. That's just how I am with the youth, because the youth are so sensitive. It's one thing to be a pastor to adults. They already had their experiences with God. They're already set in the church. But the youth, if you don't hold on to them, they are going to leave. And that's a fact. Like, they're not going to care how long they went to that church. They're not going to care about the people there. If that church no longer serves a purpose in their life, then they're just going to walk away. So I keep them really close and tight, and I don't care how long we go without talking to each other. I'm always going to try my best to reach out and to keep them close to me as possible. And I make sure that the pastors and the other members, that they respect my kids, and the same way I tell my kids to respect them as well.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Can't be me. I wish I could just do things, but that started a whole.
Yeah.
You don't have people in your church that are petty.
Oh, I do.
No.
Oh, you saying
No,
like
no,
like
no, no.
like your people, like
No,
your,
because
like your church.
Because they're petty. Yeah. Especially when you have a lot of people to work with.
Yeah.
you can
I
make some
feel
damage. You can do some damage. So
No, I feel you. I mean, I don't. Okay, I have the sweet side to me, which I feel like I get from my dad. He's very chill, very calm, and I have that my mom's side. My mom is the type like it's her way or the highway, and I'm so happy I have that side to her. It's very minimal though. I try not to do it too much because then it overpowers me and I become this bad person. No offense to my mom, doesn't mean that you're a bad person, but like I said, too much if anything isn't good. But I have that side to me where it's like, okay, this is how it's gonna go, and I say it respectfully. But now when they start to like try me as if they could force me to change it, I let them know it's not gonna happen, and it's just like, it's levels to it. I just be very kind, and if I need to be really, really, really assertive, I'll be assertive, but don't let me get assertive.
I mean, it's a good thing, because that's what I realized. If you don't, people will walk over you.
That's
Even
the beginning.
even
Yeah.
your parents, like the people that you feel like shouldn't be walking over you, should hear you out. They'll walk over you because you're not standing up for what you want to stand up for. And
Absolutely.
my dad even. I've never thought in a million years that he would ever say it in front of people.
Yeah.
That I respect my son because he's the right fit for you guys as a youth advisor guy.
Yeah.
Because he'll always go for what's right, and he'll
Right.
always stand up for what you guys want to stand up for.
Right.
Because for me though, I can't do the stress. I can't.
It's very.
I can't do the stress.
Yeah.
But I will always call somebody out, and I'll always like fight for what's right.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'll make sure, even if I'm wrong in it, I'm gonna make sure I'm heard.
Yeah.
Before you
definitely.
just not even give me a chance to speak.
Right.
If that makes sense.
No, I totally feel you. Definitely for me, it's like, in the beginning it was hard because I'm a people pleaser. Growing up, I always wanted to make sure everybody liked me, and then being compared to my whole life, I always felt like I needed to always like raise the bar. And so going into youth ministry and being a part of the Haitian youth ministry at that, like, that's already a lot to deal with. And so it just took God's strength to really make me persevere, because there are so many times I wanted to give up. I did not want to do it anymore. My youth has seen me break down multiple times, over the years, and it really took a lot of just God to just keep me together, because like you said, they are petty. I can't tell you how many experiences I've had where I wanted to punch a member in the face for just saying something so slick as if they know me. Like, you got the right one, because I'm gonna show you, like, for real. So
Wild.
yeah. Can I tell you guys a story this one
Yes.
time?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
What?
So-
Yes.
Story time,
Definitely.
story time.
Okay, so there was this one time, it was on a Sunday morning, and we were waiting for the DJ to come to lead the service. And at my church, they don't start on time. So they, Pastor Serge, my stepdad, he told me to go up on stage to sing a couple songs as we wait for the DJ to come. And there were already a few people in the congregation. So I'm singing the songs, and then eventually the DJ came. She started singing, and I guess the song that she was singing was in the Shutterspillers, but apparently nobody knew the song. So one of the women in the congregation decided to say out loud, nobody knows the song. Can you change it? And I'm just like, we are in the middle of service. So I'm literally reading along. Of course, I don't know. I don't know the song, but I'm reading it to get the flow. You know, it's a service. First off, why are we even singing the same songs over and over again? Like, why are we so used to that? But anyways, I'm singing it, and then I'm like, oh, well, I'm singing it fine. What's the problem? She's like, first off, you don't even know any Creole songs. Talking about, she was talking about like, like, you know, like Kyky, like, you know, it's like the fact that she even said my name as if she knows me, like, you know, what does Kyky even know about songs like these? And when I tell y'all, I had to walk out the service. I stayed outside the whole service, y'all, crying with anger because I wanted to say something so slick. And sis had the audacity to come to me after church asking me if I'm okay. Like,
do me a favor, please. Get out of here.
No, for real. I'm just like, what? And it's like they have this perception as if like the youth, as if like we don't know anything. You know, like, you know, I'm just like,
because
who
like
are
I
you,
said,
bro?
we're
Like,
ignorant.
yeah, I'm like, who are you? But meanwhile, you think that it's okay to stop the service of God because you don't know the song? Like, who are you? And it's like, it's so many petty stuff like that happens in our church. And I'm just like, no, y'all got the right one, because y'all think because I'm quiet and sweet, I won't say nothing. But
that's
when I tell you, God had to hold me back, because at that moment I felt like time stopped and everybody was looking at me to see what was going to happen. Even my kids were there. I was so embarrassed. I was like, because they know me. They know I will go off, you know? And the fact that I had to walk away, oh my God, like my pride was shot. But I told God, thank you, because I did not, you know, disrespect you or embarrass you in any type of way. So,
yeah. Wow.
What if you did though?
I don't know what would have happened. I would have said something so slick, and I would have just been like, yeah, I'm no longer the youth leader. Y'all can go ahead and take that title away from me. Because to me, it's just a title. And I told my youth, if I were to ever say that I no longer want to be the youth leader, it's because I don't want to be a part of the church as a leader. It doesn't mean that we're not going to stay in contact. It doesn't mean that we're not going to still hang out. We'll just be doing everything that we're doing in the church, just with me out, you know, separate from the church. So yeah, I would have just walked away. Like,
Christian people, get it together.
Oh, for real.
Haitian Christians. That's all it's.
No. Christian people, because I hear that it's worse in other churches as well. I won't say who,
man,
but blanc yo pas bon même.
Hey, would y'all be shocked if I said that she was a pastor's wife? I said that.
I'm not surprised.
Crazy, right?
Is it
crazy?
I'm not surprised.
I think I know.
Yeah, I think you know who it is. I think I had told you.
I think so. Ralph told me something along those lines.
All right, we're gonna cut this part out. But it was that said that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It just sounded like it just sounded like her energy.
Yeah.
It just sounded like her energy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Crazy. Crazy.
But on that note, we're gonna go ahead and end today's episodes. You know, let us know in the comments, what do you think it means to be a leader? And, you know, some of the questions that we were asking throughout the episode, you know, to put your thoughts and to just let us know what you think. And yeah, we'll see you next week. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, subscribe to her channel. We're gonna put that down there as well.
Woo-woo.
And follow Joshua on Instagram. I know he's not promoting it, but I'll promote it for him.
Woo-woo.
And we will
Also, YouTube, subscribe.
Yes.
Facebook, you subscribe to Facebook.
Follow on
Facebook,
TikTok.
You follow on TikTok.
TikTok.
And then you follow on Twitter. I'm trying to.
This is showing my age.
No, for real.
I'm trying to build the other stuff.
Yes.
It's hard, but
Follow everything.
Ooh.
Everything will be in the description down below.
bye, guys.
Alright, take it easy. Bye. Have a good one. Alright, bye. Okay.
Entertainment.